All right, let's bring in Dan Wilkofsky, a Syria analyst with the Navanti Group. Thank you for joining us. You're on Skype from Virginia. Let me ask you this. We're watching video of rubble, and there are hundreds of thousands of people that are displaced. How do you rebuild?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. The task of, as you mentioned, the city is, you could describe it as being totally destroyed. And I was talking to a Kurdish journalist today who's embedded with the SDF who said that, this might be an exaggeration, but in his estimation, it's going to take a year at least to rebuild the city to a point where it is safe for civilians to return. So immediately the task of rebuilding would technically fall to the Raqqa City Council, which is a civilian body that is supported and supervised by the coalition, the Syrian Democratic Forces that have taken the city. But they probably will not be able to do any meaningful reconstruction without robust support from the United States and from the international community.
All right, and we said that the fight against ISIS isn't over, so what happens? Do they go underground? Is this an insurgency?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, you've got many different potential options. As your previous guest said, lots of ISIS fighters and leadership over the past few months have been moving southeast into areas, into Deir ez-Zor province especially, a neighboring desert province. They are holed up often in areas that are not major population centers. ISIS, traditionally when they move into an area, they'll intermarry into the local population, they'll recruit informants, they'll recruit municipal workers, and also recruit people into their civil administration. So there is a social network in a lot of these areas where a lot of people are affiliated directly or indirectly with ISIS. So they could sort of use that as a staging ground in the future to launch attacks, insurgent-style attacks. And there's also the real possibility that some ISIS fighters will try to return home, especially those with friendly passports like European passports. So that could create a real security headache for some European countries and other countries in the Middle East, like Libya, for example.
Yeah, this is clearly not over, especially because the civil war is still raging, and if it's not ISIS, who's to say another Islamist group won't gain power in the region?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, you've seen over the past couple of weeks, a new group has built itself up in the northwest of the country as sort of a split off of an Al-Qaeda affiliated group. And this split off is the splinter group is against Turkish intervention that's occurring in the northwest of the country. So this also could be a potential magnet for ISIS fighters who might decide that they no longer want to risk their chances in the southeast of the country.
Dan, very quickly, and I know that this is an impossible question, but long term, how do you solve Syria?
Oh, that is an absolutely impossible question. I mean, it depends on so many. It depends on so many different regional and international calculations. I think that the most likely scenario for the area of the country that we're talking about now is that the Kurdish authorities that have led the charge to take Raqqa City and control much of the north and northeast of the country are probably going to try at some point to sit down with the Syrian regime and work out some sort of a deal that gives them a bit of autonomy in the northeast of the country. In exchange for a number of different concessions they could offer. That seems at this point to be the most likely scenario, but anything could change.
Dan Wilkofsky coming to us from D.C. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks a lot.